We are live. Happy Sunday. So today is our Saturday morning dates on a Sunday. We're going to make some of our adjustments before we get started, but super excited to be able to go ahead and do this week's morning date. Where am I? There I am. All right.
So we're looking to get ready for a cruise for 5 days. Just super.
Yes.
I'm excited. Finally get away. But as Libby's getting started here, I kind of threw out a topic that I wanted to talk about. It seems like it's always the same topic, but it was the topic came up. I forgot if it was somebody in our the Higher Profits Tribe, the Facebook group, but it was where should it was the question was like something to do with money in terms of like what's blocking you right now. And it brought up a good point because I started to think about it and really kind of break down, if money is the easiest thing in the world to acquire, or I should say that there is an infinite amount of it that you can get through any given means, legal and not. But I wanted to just think about the topic, and I kind of phrased it out here, and it was where should you be putting your focus right now? Because I said three different ways, but there's four different ways in my head on how you can make money. Because again, if that's your roadblock, then there's plenty of different ways to do it. It's just a matter of what's right for you right now.
And when we say roadblock, it's because some people were saying the one thing stopping them is money, right? Not the right people or mindset. And if it's money, and this is what Chris is talking about, that approach.
Yeah, and so what I wanted to break down was four different ways. And give me a second, Yaya. I got Yaya over here in the background. But there's four different ways. So there's either do more to earn more. There's hire more to grow more. There's making yourself more valuable, and then there's making your team more valuable. Now, I thought that was interesting because at every point in your life, there probably is a bigger focus on one of these four, but it's just a matter of what's right for you right now, with where out of those four you should be focusing that energy or putting that energy into. Like the do more, earn more is, I think, all about if your time isn't fully maximized, then it's doing more. I got Yaya over here.
Absolutely. Well, the mindset I grew up with was money is one of the easiest things in the world to generate, right? It's one of the easiest things in the world to just make, whether we go out and make it physically with our hands, our minds, sell something you have, your service, or even, um, you know, kind of just having some gigs or some side hustles. But I think it's for me, I grew up with money not being the issue. It's because it's one of the easiest things in the world to make. If money is my issue, I've always told the kids, I'm like, oh, that's no problem at all. Like, uh, money's infinite.
Yeah. Now, I kind of thought this was interesting because, you know, if you were a business owner and you heard those four, do more, earn more, hire more to grow more, or make yourself more valuable or your team more valuable, I can kind of think how people would have a lot of pushback with certain ones, kind of like placing in their head, like, oh, of course we know that we need to, make our team more valuable and hire more. But to be quite honest with you, I think there's some gray areas where, if you take a look at what you're doing in your day to day, I think you'll probably find that there are occasions where yes, you actually need to do more because yes, you might be a leader in your company, but at the same time, how effective is that time being put towards whatever it is at whatever level? And that's something that I kind of fell into as well. Is I found that there were certain areas or certain pockets of time where I was wasting energy, and so there was pieces of me where I needed to do more and be more efficient. But at the same time, it was the making the team more valuable was also where I was kind of placing things. So for me, I kind of had to split between a few of those. more emphasis on the make your team more valuable,
So I
because
have
I was, yeah.
I have input on make your team more valuable. So for my business owners who may have office managers, HR people, hiring managers, field managers, um, this many of our employees could be approaching this from a scarcity mindset, because I've owning Boot Recruit, being a coach in CBF, interacting with my own employees. When we come in and we say, hey, like we need to make the team more valuable, we need to get more efficient, we need to figure out what can we automate, what can we streamline. I've seen many of our higher level staff push back at times with some of the companies that I interact with because of the scarcity mindset. They're scared that it's like job security almost, right? And even for some of the owners, it's like, what am I going to do if they don't need me anymore? If I create more efficiency and more streamlines and more processes. So this can scare away some of your office management, um, because they're going to think that it's interfering with job security. So I think sometimes making the team more efficient is actually one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, that's a great point because I did that last quarter in trying to break down, and I came in and have a certain process that we use, a framework that we created, Libby and I, but it was in really kind of maximizing that efficiency. But we had to approach it in a way that, again, aligned with the idea that we're here to make things feel better and flow better in their day to day and make them feel more energized or excited about what they're doing. It wasn't about, I guess, putting a lens on what they're doing. Granted, that happens, and there's a level of accountability. So if they really aren't doing their job, it kind of falls apart where that stuff comes to light. But at the same time, for those that are really committed and doing their job, this is a great way to kind of like lift their spirits and say, great, he's gonna come in and help optimize my time so that I feel better about what I'm doing and not stressed out. Because again, I'm sure that if you're a business owner, you or your team are probably doing things a little bit differently or inefficiently. I found that with my team. And it creates a little bit of chaos where, yes, you need it, but at the same time, I think it kind of drains you over time if it's just a little bit too much. So for me, that was my focus, was that efficiency with the team, but making them be on board with the idea of making their jobs easier with me just listening in to what they're doing through the day to day.
Yeah. So in our post in the Higher Profits Tribe, the question was that Chris is talking about, the topic is what's holding you back from making a bold life change right now? Right. So it doesn't only have to be business. Um, somebody put being a mom and a wife, totally feel that guilt. It does hold us back. I completely resonate with that. Somebody else said, the Who's. They have the confidence, the drive, but they don't have the right people. The Who's are holding them back, right? That's hiring somebody, getting somebody, finding somebody. Another person said, my husband's job, he's a little too comfortable right now. And it's not he's very comfortable with it, and it's not something he can do remote. So it's kind of grounding them. Totally feel that. I feel that with my son, Austin, who's a junior in high school, and he's like the only anchor, honestly, right now for us, like traveling more and doing things. But I understand it and I respect it. Like he's almost graduated. My comment to this was, what is holding me back from making big changes? And this is completely transparent. This is fear. I still have fear of success. And you know what my fear is that, can I handle what it looks like? Am I the version I need to be for the next level of success? And so that fear keeps bringing me back down. So not bringing me back down, I'm sorry. I subconsciously pull the company back or pull myself back because I'm like, am I ready for the next level of success? Am I, is my mindset ready? Can I handle managing that many leaders? And I subconsciously throttle stuff. And I catch myself doing it. I've asked Chris to call me out. Like, hey, when I slow down, like call me out. because it's our subconscious mind, right? Which is that intrinsic mind that says, hey, I'm not that leader yet, or hey, I still have self sabotaging. I see a little hand, self
Yeah, give
sabotaging
me.
tendencies, or, I'm not there yet physically, mentally, and I throttle the growth because I built the first company from 0 to 1 million in 3 years. I built Root Recruit from 0 to 1 million in 2 years, and I can do it. Um, but I'm sorry, the ants are crawling on my feet. I'm sitting outside. Um, I can do it, but it's like, oh my God, like pull it back a little bit because a $500,000 company owner is different than $1 million owner, and different than $1.5 million owner, and a 2 million, and every version. And I keep saying, oh, like, I'm not ready. The business is ready. Our office wants it, but I'm not ready. And that's the thing that's holding me back. It's not another person. It's not money. It is me.
That's a great point. For me, Libby, for me, it was that I think I was too ready to take on too much, and so I was stuck in the category of the do more to earn more, and so I was not delegating. I was not really handing off and thinking about number one, hiring more to grow more, combined with making the team more valuable. And
Yeah.
so I
And what
was
happened to you when that happened?
a complete burnout and failing on expectations many times over. Even now, I'm still. I was hustling to try to get a lot of things ready for our trip, but one of those things was positioning a lot of the things, the do more category, positioning a lot of those things to delegate and hand off, because we did hire another dev person just for Woot Recruit, and we have a lot of things on the maps. But for me, it was at least prepping to hand off to execute, so that I'm not the one keeping us stuck. And so for me, that's honestly the heaviest focus is getting my head out of the do more to earn more, because that's step one. That's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. And poor Chris was drowning. I could see the burnout and I could see it, but he thought, oh, but I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And we had to have this discussion. I said, but Chris, it's too slow.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have to work from sun up to sundown versus if I can just duplicate you. And so what did we do? We went out and hired another person for the tech team, the product
Mm-hmm.
team, because we want to move fast. Um, and so I think this is a great topic, whether it's like your health and what's slowing you down from making big changes. Is it like, oh, I don't have the time, or, but I like bread. So do I. Um, but or it's I want to move fast in my business, but I don't know how. I don't have the staff. I don't have the money. At the end of the day, really, they're all excuses. And I know that's hard to hear, but they're all excuses. And I still give them to myself. I'm guilty. Um, they're all excuses. And it's like, when am I gonna suck it up and stop making excuses? Um, and man, all of the work, Chris probably can contest, all of the mindset work, all of the fear work I put in, and I still have it. Like I still have some. I'm probably better than like 100 times better than where I was at, but it's still there. And I think once you realize what you're doing, like what's preventing you from those big life changes, and that you're looking at it from a new mindset to just say, this is nothing but an excuse.
Yeah.
Um,
I,
and and it makes you kind of feel like, oh, like crap. Um, call yourself out on it. Like you're not going to change and you're not going to grow, and we're going to be stuck until we look at it like that and say, which one of the four that Chris listed can I work on? Um,
and
I'm a.
and
Go ahead.
Yeah. By the way, we're working on putting a framework together to help make this a little bit easier to visualize and to be able to to use it as like a practice or kind of like a workshop to break down where you're currently at. Because I know that Tammy Holmes had posted a question here, but I'll let you continue first.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, so, okay, I see a few people listening. Yes, Tammy's on here. What traits would you need to say or what traits would you say you need at those different brackets from your experience? Great question, Tammy. Very good question. Um, you know, it's something to think about, but I think it's also where you are would depend on the trait, right? I don't think it's necessarily um, just a mindset. I think it's a combination of where your mindset is at those stages, but also where your business is. Because a business is an evolution and you're going to come back into those traits as the business grows, but it's going to be a different phase of it.
Yeah.
And so the traits were, do more to earn more. Example, like mindset. For me, is I have to know that like we parted ways with our head of marketing, and so I had to jump in there, right, to get it fixed and get it clean, right. I needed to do more to earn more right this second because it's what the company needed, and we couldn't hire anybody. That mindset is to me like the hustling, jump in. I'll do it for a minute, but I'm not going to do it forever. Right. But it was what the company needed at that time, my excuses aside, because I do not want to sit in that seat.
Yeah.
Hire more to grow more. Um, I think so many of us fear hiring positions that I'm going to laugh. So many of us we fear hiring positions that we've never had before or we don't understand the position. Dude, just make it up, hire it, interview for it. Me and Chris created a position, 2 weeks ago that we didn't
Oh yeah.
ever see that existed anywhere. We created it. We created a job description and said, this is what we want. And we went out and found it and we hired somebody for it. Because
And we've been tracking it daily.
we
Yes.
track it daily. It solved one of our big problems. And I think that when we need help, when like earn more to do more. I'm sorry, what was hire more to grow more. I think sometimes we're so scared because we don't know what that position necessarily is. The hire to grow more. We don't know what it is. We're like, well, is it like an assistant? Is it management? And sometimes it doesn't matter because you just need help executing.
Yeah.
And we're never going to get it right. It's okay if we don't have it right. It's okay if we don't necessarily have that position nailed. Um, because we got to find somebody to help us do more. And, somebody asked the other day about what's influencing what your mindset looks like on success. Oh, it was Chris.
Yeah.
And I said, what was influencing mine is what everyone was telling me something should look like. Consultants, higher level management telling me, oh, well, you can only have this, and you can only do it this way, and this is how it's supposed to be done. Versus like, it's your business. Do whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I hired both of my assistants, Marilyn and Miguel, I had no clue what I was doing. I barely had a job description. I just said, I just know I need help. And can you help me?
Yeah.
And that was pretty much how the interview went.
but here's the catch. Here's the catch, though, is that you did that, but you dove in and you gave clear expectations to say, I have no idea what this is going to be, but this is what the future is going to look like, or probably should look like.
Oh yeah,
And
I
then
had the vivid
and then
vision. I had the vision. I gave them all my time. I dove in to train them, like to onboard them. They had full access to me to answer 100 questions a day. And they actually helped me build out the positions as we were doing this. But all I knew is I needed to hire to earn more.
yeah. So here's the deal is with that being said, I'm going to use an analogy. It's going to sound a little awkward, but you have this bus, you have this car, and you're trying to drive somewhere, and you find somebody to help you along the way, and you're like, come on, jump in. There's two different ways that you could approach it. Number one is you could blindfold them and tell them, we're going to figure out where we're going, and blindfold them, and then tell them to get in the car. That part's a little bit terrifying for that person, because number one is they can't see anything. and they don't know where they're going, but they have to figure out where they're going. The second thing is, let's go ahead and jump in. Take off the blindfold. They're there. They're your co-pilot. They're like, hey, we got to figure out where we're going. Here's the map. And then they're looking at it and they're trying to figure out, okay, we should probably go here, and here's why. I take that back to what you did, Libby, when you hired Miguel and Marilyn, is that you chose not to blindfold them when they stepped in the car. We didn't know where you were going, but at least you didn't blindfold them. You had something there for them to trust or to understand, okay, this is the deal, and this is what we got to figure out. So I think that's where a lot of companies fail, is that they're blindfolding people before they get in the car and trying to tell them that I don't have any processes and I don't know where I'm going, but I still need you to do something. And
Yeah.
they're like, what do I do?
And let's go back to one of our Elon Musk conversations. Okay. And again, we're not getting political, but I think, and you're talking about high efficient people. Like, I want anybody listening, what do you think is the number one trait that somebody like Elon Musk has that is contributing to his success? I would love anyone who's watching to put it in the comments. Like, what do you think that trait is that contributes to that level of success, diversity, growth? I know exactly what it is. And I've spent a lot of my time working on it, but I wanted to see if anybody could guess what they think that trait is that Elon Musk has. And it is communication. He has a very, very high level, interesting way in the way he communicates. It's very clear, it's very plain spoken, it is direct, and he has a very, like, he knows exactly what his agenda or long time goal is in anything he's talking about. And I would say that is probably a trait that I have, not to toot my own horn, but I'm very good at communicating. Now, it can be sometimes too direct. um, but I'm an open book. And so Marilyn and Miguel had that ride, but they also were sitting in that front seat with me, not in the back seat, not knowing where we were going or what we were supposed to be doing, and handing things over with full transparency. I mean, full transparency. So they could see everything, like my emails and my communication and my social media and, like Facebook Messenger. If you're messaging me, Marilyn is looking at it and she's helping me manage it because I get tons of messages a day, hundreds of emails a day. Um, and it's approaching it too with full transparency. That's how you hire to get more done.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like what Gary Vee says, it's kind candor. It's being blunt, but in a kind way. So that way it's acceptable.
So that was number two, right? First one was do more to earn more, which is the approach we all take when we first start. Like, let me just go clean another house. Let me just go organize another house. Let me just go mow another lawn so I can make more money. And I did it too when I first started. Like, when I signed up for CBF, I thought, oh my God, the way I could pay for this is just to go clean a house or organize a house. Um, I'm proud to say I never cleaned a house after I signed up, but I did still organize. The second one was hire more to grow more. That's what we covered about levels of communication and being in the front seat with you while you're driving, not in the back seat. And then the third one is make yourself more valuable,
I want to be
right?
careful with this one though,
Yeah.
but go ahead.
Go ahead. No, what is your take on make yourself more valuable?
So making yourself more valuable, I don't want to say, and I'm gonna say this right now. I don't think it's in reading books and learning specifically, because if I were to say that first and just said that blindly and to you guys, then what would have happened is that it would have been the sole focus of I'm going to read, I'm going to learn, but then you get into the issue of knowledge versus applied knowledge, and then it really doesn't mean a darn thing.
No.
And so the make yourself more valuable is
Isn't
where you
signing
start
up for another course. It's not reading a new book. Like it's
so
no.
yeah, so in my head here, and again, I need to visualize this. I promise you that we're going to work on having it so that you're able to kind of visualize it as well. But what you end up having is this is where you start to step into the realm of systems and optimization. Is you need, in order to make yourself more valuable, you need systems. You need something that functions without your involvement to some degree. Again, like
Oh, I think there's a
offloading.
book, a really good book coming out on this, Chris,
Oh yeah,
next year.
Benjamin. Oh yeah, oh yeah. There
Oh,
is. There's a
went
fantastic book
right
coming out next year.
over your head, Chris. Right over your head. No, it's not the new Benjamin Hardy book. It's your wife's book. Horrible, horrible promoter, Chris. Come on.
Yes, but no, it's all about operational efficiency and systems,
Yes.
and just getting through that next layer. Um, so, I would love to hear your perspective on making yourself more valuable.
So I think, making yourself more valuable is, I think there's a lot of approaches to this, a ton, right? It's your health, it's your mindset. Um, but I think if we're talking, are we talking life? Oh, I don't want to talk with my hands because I'm going to mess up the camera. We're talking like life things, like personal, we're talking business. So with business, to make yourself more valuable, we got to do the hard crap that we don't want to do. Right? It's stop running to the departments we love, stop focusing on the things that we like. To make myself more valuable means I'm a balanced, informed owner, right? Balance informed. That means I'm doing the hard crap because I have to. The company needs it. I'm reviewing my numbers. I'm making myself more valuable. I'm I am having tough conversations. I'm monitoring data. I'm focused on data and I'm focused on the math and I'm not focused on like my feelings or emotion. That is how I become a more valuable business owner. When we're small, we operate from emotion and our feelings. And to become the next level and continue to get more and more valuable to the business is I stop doing those things and I start acting like a grown up owner and focus on data and math to make my decisions. Have those difficult conversations every day. If you're not having a difficult conversation every day, you are not yet to that point of being a valuable owner. Why? Difficult conversations. Vendors, customers, and I don't talk to customers that often like and organize it, but I'm having like, so you're talking about vendors, employees, maybe things that we're looking to take on, whether like new health insurance packages, negotiating with freaking HubSpot.
Oh
Sorry,
my goodness.
worst customer service I've ever experienced in my life. And difficult conversation, called them out on it. They marked me as what was I marked as a customer?
Oh my gosh, I don't remember.
At risk
Um,
account. I'm like, how am I at risk? I pay my bills up front in quarterly segments. I've never missed a bill. I've never been late. How are you? And I said, I am offended and insulted that you call me this. And they could not even give me a reason of why I was an at-risk customer. And I'm like, well, before I talk to well, we don't have that information. I said, if you're the owner, you work for HubSpot, you are a CRM, and so you should have notes in your account or in my account to tell me why I'm an at-risk customer. That's a difficult conversation to call them out on those things. If you're not having these conversations every day and making decisions based off math and data, you're not valuable to the company yet. You're still like working in the company. You're not driving it to the next level.
and yes, and if you're at that stage, what I've been repeating over and over again recently is the statement of how often are you disrupting? How often are you making uncomfortable or big decisions? And that will tell you how much you sit in that bucket of making yourself more valuable.
Somebody told me if you're in daily meetings, right, you're in the day to day. If you're in weekly meetings, you're in the week to week decision. So this is for owners. If you're in monthly meetings, only, like only, you're in monthly decisions. And if you're in quarterly meetings, right, you're in the quarterly decisions. And so that made me kind of step back. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not in any day to day, but I'm still in weekly meetings. And as an owner, you should be paying attention, like for big picture, culture, vision, service and product updates and upgrades, and you know, what's the next version of the company. And it was a really interesting thought process to say, okay, well, if you're in the day to day, like you're on day to day decisions, and why are we in that? Like, how do we get ourselves out of there? And so that this is a rant of kind of how do I make myself more valuable, but that's how I make myself more valuable. Asking questions, like, hey, we had somebody cancel. Why? Tell me exactly why. How long were they a customer? That can be confrontational because you want to know why. I said, great, like, let's email the customer. I want to jump on a Zoom. Confrontational. But that is the approach to me to make yourself more valuable. And then there's the mindset side, right? What are you putting in your mouth? What are you putting in your body to make yourself more valuable? How much exercise are we doing a day? What are we digesting? Are we watching TV? Are we watching the news? I read my news. I do not watch it.
Again, that's making yourself more
And
valuable because you're more efficient.
yeah, so what are we doing personally to make yourself more valuable? And then, Chris, what's the last conversation we had about my calendar, about making yourself more valuable that we just
Oh,
had with
it's
Marilyn?
yeah. So there's a bunch of different things, but like protecting Libby's time.
So not just Libby,
Um,
like protecting your time.
yeah. So this is something to think about. And by the way, I have like 8 different things that I wanted to say about what you just said, all packed in there. So I'll try to unload it here in a minute. But it was, oh gosh, it came up on the concept of future versus now. And this goes into another layer of this, but future versus now is if you're focused too much on the now, the here and now, and if you look at your time and you don't have anything that is focused in on future, then you got to get it the hell off your calendar. If you're the owner, if you're the leader. So I think that's where it came from is first like protecting the calendar in terms of future. If you're not
Even
working on
for
future,
management, even if you're a manager, you have to have a segment of time for here and now and for future.
get it off of your calendar. Like this should be as if you had chemicals or whatever it's burning. You got to get it off of you. The faster you can, the better, as long as it's not causing any chaos in your company. But at the same time, sometimes growth does take chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, it was protect my time. Revisit your calendar and look at every single thing on there and say to yourself, like, I need to protect my time. How much of this is future and how much of it is now?
Yeah. I think that's a great question for everybody to audit their calendar. How much is future, big pictures, big relationships, new product, new service? Like, how much is future on your calendar versus how much is here and now? Right? Here and now isn't going to necessarily grow us, grow the business, grow us personally, grow us mentally, right? And there's a percentage that we aim for, that I aim for, and and there's a percentage that we aim for our management, our leadership, for their calendars to look like too. Because if my managers are only in the here and now, the day to day, they have no room for the future, and the management should be thinking of the future and what's the next thing for their department. How do they make their employees in that department more efficient? What systems are broken in their department? That's future.
Yeah.
And so there's a percentage that we aim for, and I don't think, some of us may get there and some of us may not, but it's a great to have a standard to chase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would love to kind of take a step back here real quick and touch on 2 things. Number one is Maria had made a comment that she said that it's difficult to have difficult conversations, but once you get started, it's easier, which I think is fantastic. She was talking about, you know, being uncomfortable, but being able to grow because of that. Like you said, being real with yourself and that kind candor. I wanted to revisit that because I think JP in Wood Recruit, he does a phenomenal job at this. He's a master's degree in philosophy,
Philosophy.
and he has a lot. He's got others that he's working on, as another master's that he's working on. But um, one of the things that he does is he intentionally puts himself in extremely uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, he's
Extremely
funny.
uncomfortable situations. To the
Yeah.
point of like dyeing his hair a different color and going out in public,
He's
or
doing social experiments with himself to make himself uncomfortable.
yes. And I think this is huge because people think that, let's say business owners specifically, and then I wanted to circle back again to more so how this applies to family life. But business owners think that they have to get the experience and the reps in on that thing that they need to learn how to do. I take this back to like Wood Recruit. We talk about the interviews and such. Like you have to get your reps in there, but at the same time, what Maria said in terms of it gets easier. You don't have to start with your business to get the reps in. What you can do is take that back and apply it to people because, again, business is all about people. If you understand people, you understand business. So, what I'm saying is that you can take this back to your personal life, to people, and take these concepts of creating uncomfortable situations intentionally to start to work through the ideas of confrontation and navigating difficult conversations. And I think a great way to do this, I've started to practice it and I started to learn it because of Libby. And it was on the concept of extreme transparency, on being fully open with everything about you. And I think this is also the power with Elon Musk and other extreme performers, is that they are so transparent with themselves that there is nothing that gets them stuck. Their decision is so clear and so vivid because they are 100% real with themselves. There is no insecurity. There is no doubt. There is no, what do people think? And I think this holds a lot of power because you can start this, one, by being extremely transparent with yourself, and two is to start little social projects, like
Micro
going into
projects.
micro projects. It's going into public. It's going into areas like Starbucks. You have people sitting at a table. Why not just say, I hate talking to people, but I'm going to go ahead and engage with these people because I need to help work on myself. So what you could do is just say, hey, how you doing? My name is so-and-so. How are you doing? Start
So
there, start small.
it's I practice Dan Martell's 5 daily habits, and that's one of them actually. Is to talk to 5 strangers a day intentionally. Have a conversation with 5 people that you don't know. And this is something that I've been practicing for about over a year now. Um, so Dan has these 5 things he does every day that contributes to like being a successful person, owner, and that's one of them. It's engage with 5 people you don't know. It could be in the elevator, at a restaurant, at a bar, on the airplane. It could be on social media. It could it could be like through Facebook Messenger. Um, engaging with 5. It could be through email. So it's engaging with 5 people. Maybe you know them, but you haven't talked to them in a while. But engaging with 5 people that you haven't, that are outside of your circle. So I had dedicated to like Sundays reaching out to family, which was great. And you might, yeah, you don't have 5 family members you can do every single Sunday, but it's just keeping that loop of who are the 5 people I haven't talked to in a while. And it goes back to that book, Never Eat Alone. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just those micro transactions that build up the confidence and self esteem we need. Um, because one of the traits of successful owners, and it's in the book Think and Grow Rich, is this is the most successful trait of an owner, or the best trait of an owner, is the ability to make quick, concise decisions. And you may say, well, what's that have to do with talking to strangers? Well, it's fear, it's making the decision, it's engaging. Um, and so they all kind of go hand in hand. But when you said I have the ability to make quick decisions and you've learned that from me, I learned it from the book, and then I learned it from Dan, which he referenced the book, and then I read the book, and then and so this is why Chris and I share this stuff, is because we've learned it from other people, and it's our turn then to teach others how we learned it.
Hmm.
Yes. So anything
Yeah.
before we move to the next one?
Yes. Real quickly, and just how it applies family wise, family life, your personal life. The idea of how to make yourself more valuable. It kind of plays into the next one as well, which is you think about your house. You can probably look around right now. Like, you just take a second and just look around your house real quick and think to yourself, how many things in here are taking up my time or cluttering the space? This goes into more organizing, but what is taking up the capacity for me to do more, or to have less on my plate? And I think that's more so making yourself more valuable at home. Is there's little things like, don't overcomplicate dinner. Well, I mean, like for us, I started cooking, and I mean, granted, we're a little bit different, but we're just cooking three things that are pretty consistently the same thing over and over again. But it saves so much time. It's not like I'm whipping up a batch of whatever from scratch with 13 ingredients. So there's some things that I want to save time to be able to spend it more better, more valuable in other ways. So I think in home, that's how we can apply that.
Yeah. This is a whole topic. Like, this is the organizing side, but look around your house. One way to make yourself more valuable is you have to think that way, right? You have to think, is this how $1 million owner lives? Is this what their house looks like? And this has nothing to do with like how large your house is, right? This has everything to do with like the surroundings in your house, right? Is how tidy is the house? How simple is it? Is this what I would expect to look like if I was that leader of a $10 million business? And one of the reasons I'm a huge fan of like, I mean, super, super basic living, super basic. Um, and we did it over the summer. We went through and we purged our entire house, repainted it, new furniture. We donated a lot of our stuff, but it's because I needed to make myself more valuable. And how this ties together is I needed simplicity in my house so that I could be more valuable to the business and to my children, right? So that means I needed less distractions, less objects in the house, less items, less things to manage, less things to clean. Um, and you know that one thing I can say I have super under control, because my house is like Marie Kondo lives there. There's nothing to organize because there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
Um, so that makes me more valuable as a mom because I have more time with our kids. I have more time to myself, more time to read. I am not managing because there's really nothing in the house to manage. I'm managing our relationships and our interactions. I'm not managing any objects. Because as a business owner, like the last thing we want to do at the end of the day is like have to think more, make more decisions about like even dinner or cooking or having to clean or the pile of papers on a desk. That brings down that level, uh, our value level, if that's taking up our time and our energy.
And if that's bringing down your value level, then it's also bringing down your confidence or your ego, which then in turn makes you feel less valuable. So you do less valuable things. It's the state that you're in that reinforces itself.
I'm so passionate about organizing how this helps business owners. And I don't mean just guys, your houses. I mean like your computers, your Google Drives, your phones. It is a constant distraction. We cannot grow and scale our business, our personal lives, if they are not, I mean, tidy, so tidy there's a bow on it. Um, because to go fast, and we've heard every single mentor ever mention this, to go fast, we have to be super simple and super basic.
Hmm.
Simplicity scales. And so that's how we make ourselves more valuable. Um, when it comes to our home life, like starting there at least. And if you're struggling in this area, because our home life impacts our work life and our work life impacts our home life, hire an organizer. Have your own cleaning companies clean your houses. Um, God, like throw the crap away. At the end of the day, I want everyone to think about what were some of the happiest times in your life? What are some of the most memorable moments in your life? It typically typically it is places or it was moments that happened when we were on a vacation, right? Or while we were traveling. If you think back, right? And when we're in those places, it's like you're in a hotel living out of a suitcase. You're on a cruise ship living out of a suitcase. You're driving across country out of your car. And you don't have all those things that you have in your house that you think you need. You think you need. Um, and it's such a powerful thing to sit back and think about is that, you know, it's just cluttering up your mind. It's slowing you down. And I think it was Maria said, only need, oh, and you can fly. Yeah.
Oh, that was
Um,
Tammy. Tammy
oh,
said
as Tammy.
only need what weight you can fly with.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it will change your life for my business owners. Getting yourself organized will increase your value and it will change your life.
Yep.
Okay. The next one was making your team, right? Make your team more valuable. And we started with that one, Chris.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we did because you said that was the one thing you were struggling at. It caused burnout, frustration.
Hmm.
You were going to get fired. I was,
Yep. Now I touched on that. There's
I
plenty more to say.
wasn't going to
Um,
fire Chris, but I was going to fire Chris if he didn't learn to delegate.
yep.
Um, and so you need to ask yourself, are you really utilizing your team? Or is your team maxed out? Can they handle more? Are we
So
scared to ask?
I want to push back a little bit. Not push back, but open up another door. Because I think as value, the very first thing that many business owners think is, are they doing enough? And this and that is there's a subjective bias that leans towards they're not doing their job, or it leans towards they could definitely do more because I'm doing more. And so I want to push back a little bit and kind of create another opportunity here. And it's the idea of, have you given the opportunity to trust your team? Have you given yourself the opportunity to trust somebody?
I mean, I
I think,
think
yeah.
one of my biggest um, I trust my team. I mean, Marilyn, for God's sakes, has my social security card, my social security number, and my credit card, and my bank account information. I trust my team, um, and so for me, I easily trust when they come in until they give me a reason not to. But I see so many business owners struggle with this trust category. Um, and you have to think to yourself, where is that coming from? Why do I have an issue with trusting? Is it something that happened to me in my past, in my childhood? You know, is it, are you reacting based off past experiences because somebody else did it to you? So now that you think everyone's going to do it to you?
So, Libby,
Mhm.
I wanted to touch on and open up on something that happened in Woot Recruit that we experienced and what came about because of that. So
Sure.
we had, let's just say we had, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I think you're breaking up a little bit, but we had a head of department. And let's just say, for instance, that head of department had people under them. And they were really struggling to get the right things out of their team, and to the point to where they were like, this is not working out. Things are not getting done. They're failing on expectations. I'm thinking about firing them. This was the head of department.
She was
Um,
thinking about firing her team.
like they're inefficient. They're not doing their job. It's not working out. Um, and so we didn't end up firing any of the team
Oh, and they
members.
wanted to replace everybody. They're like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. They're inefficient. Yeah.
They're not good. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that was what was happening. And luckily, fortunately, Libby said, nah, because I know that there's something there. There's a lot of value to these people, the team members. And so what we ended up doing was, and this is where, again, this will be in the book, a little teaser, is a couple frameworks that can help you in terms of being able to break down a day in the life of
The
and
story's also
work.
in the book, actually.
It is,
Yeah.
but I sat down with some of the team members and started to kind of map out and break down their day to day. We have a certain format that we follow, and coming out of it, what ended up happening is we repositioned their entire, like their entire day to day, week to week flow of every single task that they were doing, moved things around, scrapped some things, delegated some things. And what ended up coming about was that we were able to do
20
five
times.
time.
Was it?
What's
No,
that?
5 times. Was it 5 times or 10 times?
I honestly think. Well, so here's the thing: is that it's not
Five times.
we're not fully capped out yet,
Oh, yeah.
and so I think that's where that comes from is 10 times the capacity under different management. But here's the crazy thing is that we were able to optimize their schedule, but they were also able to optimize. I want to say 10x the way that they felt about the position that they held. Is this person in the team ended up feeling fired up and excited now going forward with having a completely re-engineered I want to say position or structure
But
to their
also, new
day
manager.
and a
You
new
didn't
manager.
mention that the manager is gone.
Yes. So we ended up firing the manager. It's just again, it's alignment with what we needed in that specific role in doing these exercises. But again, the outcome was that this person who we thought was horrible, this person that we thought that was not good, ended up being one of our best employees and was able to become 10 times more efficient with the
No,
right type of
I
lead.
want to stop you. It wasn't this
Yeah, yeah.
person that we thought was bad. It was that her manager thought she was bad.
Yes.
Her manager kept coming back to me and saying, "Oh, they're not. We need to replace them. They don't know what they're doing. They're like they're not efficient." And so it was all being fed back to me by the leader of the department. But at least I wasn't naive enough to believe it.
Right.
And so this is a great statement to you rise and fall to the level of your leader. After we let her go, Chris helped me. He come into marketing. I now sit in the marketing seat. It was marketing. Um, and the people that were almost going to get fired because the leader said they're not good are producing 5 to 10 times more work, more content, and they're not even at capacity. And this is what happens, making your teams more valuable. This is what happens if you don't have great leaders leading your teams. That department's going to fail. And when we looked at things, this leader was spending 75% of their time learning and 20 minutes a week managing, 20 minutes a week leading, being a manager, leading.
Future
And
versus now.
yeah, future versus now. And so it was astonishing how great person, great core value fit for our company, but didn't have the capacity for the position. And so that's where it gets hard, right? We keep people, which makes our team less valuable because, oh, we like them. They're nice. Um, they've been with the company a long time.
Or they're filling a spot so that I don't have to do it.
Or, hey, I don't want to have to think about rehiring a new assistant or office manager or field manager or scheduler because that means I'm going to have to cover it. Um, it devalues your team. So there's a great story, Chris. That story's actually in the book about how management can be the issue, not the employees.
Mm-hmm.
And to all my small business owners, if you're the owner, you're also the manager of something, of a department. I mean, most of us are not large enough to not manage something. Um, what, you need to kind of ask yourself, right? Am I failing as a manager or are the employees failing under me?
Because there's a saying that, nobody is born evil. And taking that into account, everybody's version of just is different. And so think of yourself as a leader is what is your version of just? And are you properly aligning with, again, what a just job looks like for that role and for that person? Or
Yeah.
is the perspective completely skewed?
Yeah. So it's just great to think about how do you make your team more valuable? There's a million ways to go at this. Is it leadership? Am I a great leader? Am I communicating openly, transparently? Do I have playbooks, processes? Am I efficient? Are the employees efficient? Have we set them up to work efficiently? I can tell you right now, 90% of small businesses out there are overcomplicating literally everything. Like, oh, I have a CRM and I have like Keep and MailChimp and a text platform and a chatbot platform and like a review platform. And dude, like that's efficient. That is not efficient.
But here's the kicker is,
Yeah.
yes, all those things might be running and generating and executing on great ideas, but looking back at some of those companies is the output of results still the same? Is the revenue level still consistently the same, or is it still consistently linear regardless of the amount of technology or things that are put in place? Is it still the output of results? Is it still the same?
Yeah. And so that's another way to look at in making your team more valuable. To break that $1 million ceiling, you have to simplify your office, right? You have to. There's no way. It becomes more complicated, more people involved. But there's so many different ways to look at making your team more valuable, whether it's processes, streamlining technologies, it's better management, it's better communication. There are a ton of ways to approach this. Only you know what the best answer is, because only you know where the gaps are in your business. But I think this was a great topic, Chris. And it's at the end of the day, like what's holding us back? Anything we say, sadly, is an excuse. Whether it's a justified excuse or not, right? I said mine was fear of me personally not being ready for the next version of each company. Many said
Mm-hmm.
money, some said family. Um, Ask yourself, are these legitimate excuses or are they excuses like or are they excuses I'm just telling myself so it makes me feel better? My self-sabotaging phrase is I'm not ready. And that was an excuse that just made me feel better about it. It justified it. And, I confronted this a couple years ago, and Chris helps me when I say that word, I say that phrase, he calls me out. And now, like, I stopped saying that phrase, and it's made all the difference in the world because I was self sabotaging myself, using it as an excuse of why I can't go faster. So let's wrap up, Chris. We've been on for an hour. Any last words before we stop?
No, the only thing is there's a lot of stuff that I would love to touch on, which is family focused. But what I'm going to do then is based on this, eventually I'll go ahead and drop some stuff and conversations in to the Higher Profits Tribe, the Facebook group, if you're not already in there. I think I dropped the link in earlier, but I'd love to add some more notes that's more family focused in what I've seen with these four categories and how it applies to personal life.
Awesome. Would love that, Chris. All right, guys, have a great weekend, and we will see you next Saturday. Well,
Bye,
maybe
guys.
Sunday. Today's Sunday. Bye.
Yeah.